Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Water and Power Commissioners to order. Today is March 6, 2012. I'd like to welcome everyone who's here. Barbara, can you please call the roll?
We have Commissioners Moss, Noonan, and Parfrey present.
This proceeding is being broadcast on Channel 35. However, the exact broadcast times are not currently known and can be found by contacting Channel 35. And at this time, item 1 is to provide some comments. And the only comment I would like to make at this time is to thank the department most sincerely for the recycled water projects that are being approved today. I don't know if everyone is aware of this, but it is projected that this department will be recycling over 10,000 acre-feet a year under these new agreements. And I think this is very notable, and I'd like to commend the department for moving ahead with these projects. So, second item, please, Barbara.
Second item is report and briefing by General Manager, and I do have one speaker card for when you're done.
All right. Mr. Nichols.
Thank you. First, I'd like to note that Glenn Singley is here representing the water system today. Jim McDaniel is out of the office this week, so he'll be able to respond to items or questions on behalf of the water system should they arise. Also want to just note that an update on where we are on our budgeting process. Back in January, just remind the board that you reviewed for informational purposes a zero rate adjustment budget for both water and power for fiscal year 12-13, the purpose of which was to lay out what would be the consequences should we yet for 2 years plus running not have a rate adjustment. And as you recall, they were very significant, difficult issues that we would be dealing with. We are preparing an updated budget that will indeed reflect what we would be recommending as rate adjustments for fiscal year 12-13 for both water and for power, and are intending to have this for our March 20 meeting. And if for some reason, we're working to catch up information to get the change of status of things that have happened basically since the end of last calendar year, and working through some of those items in it. I'm anticipating that we'll be there if for some reason we run into any difficulties, there may be a remote possibility of a need for a special meeting instead, but I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. Just as a reminder, we're doing this on this kind of time frame, which is significantly earlier than you have in the past because of change from a measure that was voted on last March in the city election that requires the board to present a preliminary budget for fiscal year 12-13 by March 31st. That provides information that gets more in line with what the rest of the city has to do. So that's the reason for the timing, just a reminder of that, and we're endeavoring to get that information to you in advance of that for your consideration. And that's all I had today.
Okay, I have one speaker card for this item. Dr. Tom Williams.
Good afternoon. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council DWP Liaison. We're quite interested in the budget. Everyone's interested in the budget and the rates. So we're quite interested when we look forward to a continuing, persistent increase in requirements for water quality, for water reliability, for power and such. And so we're quite interested in how the public participation will be involved in the budget process. Within the city of Los Angeles, the neighborhood councils had what is called the budget advocate, not the ratepayers advocate, but the budget advocate. So we'd be interested in finding out how the ratepayers, the users, the neighborhood councils will be involved in the development of the budget, and if they will be able to access any of the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. The next item, please.
Item number 3, comments and requests from commissioners.
Mr. Moss?
Yes, I'd like to pull item number 7 from the consent agenda, and also I'd like to make a motion to defer items number 20, 21, and 22.
I second.
Second. So item 7 will be pulled and placed under discussion, and items 21, 20, 21, and 22 will be deferred to our next meeting.
Thank you.
Commissioner Noonan? No comment? Next item, please.
Item number 4 is opportunity for the public to address the board, and I do have a few cards.
Can you please call them?
The first speaker is Jessica Goodhart.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Jessica Goodhart, and I am with the Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy, and I'm here today on behalf of the Repower LA coalition of community organizations, faith-based leaders, small business, labor, and environmental groups that have come together around a vision of a cleaner, more modern utility that collaborates with the communities it serves. And I'm here today to deliver copies of a recent report we released called Clean Power, Good Jobs, Realizing the Promise of Energy Efficiency in Los Angeles, and to ask you to consider its recommendations as you move into the budget process. The report outlines major challenges facing the utility, which I'm sure you are all too familiar with, from an aging infrastructure to pressing environmental issues to a workforce that is nearing retirement age. And it recommends expanded energy efficiency investment, and that LADWP adopt a policy to ensure that this investment leads to broad benefits for ratepayers and for the communities, including good jobs and lower bills. In December, this commission voted to set a goal of 8.5% reduction in energy consumption by 2020, a goal that does not keep up with expected population growth or meet state standards. We know you want to do more. We believe LADWP can do more, and that's why we're here today. And we were in City Council and the Mayor's office last week with 30 coalition members arguing for a 15% reduction in energy consumption by 2020 and in energy efficiency investment that is linked to a workforce program that can put LA residents back to work and help the utility prepare its future workforce. The Repower LA proposal builds on LADWP and IBW Local 18 successful utility pre-craft trainee program, which is currently training underemployed or formerly, I should say, underemployed and unemployed residents for careers in the utility at a time when 40% of the workforce is near retirement age. So I have reports. I also just have here a pie. And don't worry, it's not a whipped cream pie, it's apple pie. And the reason I brought this is because we believe that energy efficiency is the apple pie of the power mix, good job, saves customers money, lowers bills, and with the Repower LA proposal can lead to career paths. I believe the legal department is looking into whether I can give these to you. I hope I can. I hope you enjoy them.
The pie doesn't comply with the Brown Act, so I'm going to have to confiscate it. I'll tell you what it tasted like.
Ms. Goodhart, may I ask you a question, please? I was just wondering if your Clean Power, Good Jobs report is available on the web. This program is broadcast. There are people in the audience that may also wish to see the report.
Absolutely. It's repowerla.org. It definitely is available, www.repowerla.org. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Joe McLaughlin.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Joe McLaughlin. I recently retired from Huntington Park High School after 42 years at that school. And I talk to the students there quite often about the future. And you might suspect that they are very interested in the future. And one of the things that interested them the most was energy and the environment. And as I tried to give them some context for energy, I tried to simplify things. I know the way you deal with things here is very complex. Energy is a very complex subject. But as I broke it down to them in the very largest scale, humanity has been getting most of its energy from burning things. Since we've begun, we've burned things for heat and fuel. But that doesn't work so well anymore. For a number of reasons, we can't continue burning things the way we do. Whether it's coal or natural gas or oil, we have to shift to something more sustainable, more renewable, and less damaging to us, to our environment, to our health, to all of those things. The Department of Water and Power, since it's a utility that's owned by the City of Los Angeles, has a unique opportunity to make history. You and us can literally make history. The decisions we make here can change the way things proceed in Los Angeles, the state of California, the United States. And I'm sure that you understand the importance of that and the positions that you hold and the power that you have to make a really positive change in the future. So I know all of these issues, and I'm here to for the budget and that stuff, but the message I want to get across is just how important the decisions are that you make. And looking down the road into history for future generations, what you have to do here is extremely important. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Linda Romney.
Good afternoon. I would like to address the genocide by the Department of Water and Power, the monopoly, against your senior citizens and your disabled that are indigent. Specifically, there used to be a discount that applied to the water of $10. Now that's $5 per month. Your electric used to be discount about $32.43, again, for a 2-month period. That amount has not increased in over 20 years. However, we certainly do know that the water and the electric has significantly increased. You used to have a medical equipment discount. As of this date, it is exactly the same as the senior and as the disabled discount. And you have reduced the amount for support, meaning on iron lung, whatever, the major support, for the senior citizens and the disabled. As of July 1st of last year, the garbage, your sanitation went up and wiped out the entire discount that you had. And it was impossible for the seniors, indigent, and for the disabled to opt out. Not to mention what's happened with the sewer. Now, I know that that's not under your privy, but the fact is that you do disconnect for that. There has been no additional discounts given for your senior citizens. 72% statistically are on some form of entitlement. And as you've heard, and as you know, the majority of the people, the baby boomers, are retiring. They do not all have the luxury of working for the city or the state or the federal government or your vendors here that get billions and billions of dollars. This cannot continue. I'm asking, because you are a monopoly, there's absolutely nowhere for us to go for you to bring down these rates. You've already had March 1st another increase in the water. This cannot go on. Please consider this. It's urgent. Thank you.
And the next speaker is Dr. Tom Williams.
Good afternoon again. Interesting subjects on today's agenda. A strategic real estate plan and a comprehensive financial plan. Where's the strategic plan for the Department of Water and Power? $6 billion revenue, a huge number of people. Oh, how many people do you have? Let's see a list. Where's an organization chart? Because there seems to be some interims this and interims that, and seniors this and assistant general managers that. But where is an organization chart which would be a component of a strategic plan for the Department of Water and Power. Haven't seen it. If you go on the webpage, there's no organization chart there. You look for a directory and it won't even open. So we're still going back 3 years now almost. Where's the strategic plan so that you can better incorporate the real estate plan and maybe the financial plans and all the other items that a normal strategic plan of a $6 billion corporation would usually have? Thank you.
Barbara, are there any additional speakers?
Yes, the last speaker is Kent Minault.
Good afternoon. I just here to make a request for you. When the IRP public comment sessions happen, I'd like you to upgrade the information on the cost of the various sources of energy that we'll be talking about during those sessions. This relates to the budget, specifically the cost of coal. When the IRP sessions were held a couple of years ago, some of the information presented was admittedly, and actually it was so spoken by the presenters, was a little bit out of date. And I was wondering if you could keep it up to date and also include the dynamics of price change over time so that the public can properly appreciate the spike we're experiencing in the price of coal, plus the economic factors that are causing that spike, like depletion in the Powder River coal fields, increases in the price of transportation, almost yearly flooding now in Australia, and the fact that we're exporting in the United States 7 times the amount of coal now that we were 5 years ago. So all of these are pushing the price of coal up, and that's being reflected in our utility rates. And so it would be kind of you to, when you present to the public, make sure that we're all aware of the dynamics of the prices of various forms of energy and how coal is going up and renewables are coming down. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any additional speakers, Barbara?
That's it for item 4.
Thank you. At this point, we are turning to the consent calendar, and from my understanding is that items 6 and then 8 through 19 are open for a motion.
Actually, Commissioner, on item number 18, that involves a CEQA matter, and we are going to have to take that up.
All right.
And also, Mr. President, we didn't approve the minutes yet.
I'm waiting for that first. Is there a motion that would approve items 6, 8 through 17, and items 19?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objection, items 6, 8 through 17, and items 19 are approved. Thank you very much. Now, item number 5, Commissioner Noonan.
Yes, I have to recuse myself from approving the minutes since I was absent from that meeting date.
All right, so you would need to abstain. So, Barbara, we cannot act on that item at this time, so we'll defer that to a future meeting. At this point, we would like to hear item 18. Who's making
Did you want to do 7 first? You'd pulled 7 as well, or 18 first?
Let's hear 18 first.
Okay.
Listen it up. I like that.
Hello, Mr. Adams. You're making the presentation?
Yes, myself and Chuck Holloway.
Now, Marty, before you begin, you know, this board has received a few communications from people in the Owens Valley, and so after your presentation, I would very much like to bring up a couple of those items for staff to comment on. So please proceed with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. I will just give a little brief background of this project, and then I'll let Chuck talk about the environmental documentation that's been done. The Big Pine Northeast Regreening Project is one of the last of 2 remaining, we call them E&M enhancement and mitigation projects that were identified in the 1991 EIR and also in the long-term water agreement. And those, the EIR and water agreement were the settlement resulting from a lawsuit over impacts from the previous 2 decades of groundwater pumping by the department in the Owens Valley. In the EIR, these enhancement mitigation projects were devised to make up for impacts from the previous 2 decades. And so this was one of the projects that was identified in that document. One of the biggest items of contention on this project is about where the water supply comes from, and the notion that if you're mitigating groundwater pumping, why would you pump groundwater to do so? But that was the way it was envisioned and agreed to and accepted in a court settlement, that groundwater would be used from this specific well 375 to supply this project. And so this is, we're trying to wrap up the commitments that the department has made. And so this is, as I said, one of the last 2 projects to do that. The project is not real large. It's about 30 acres of irrigated pasture land. It'll be maintained by a lessee. The only real change to the project of significance is that originally there was a different ditch system we were going to draw water off of, and the well 375 would be the makeup water, so that it'd be a whole in terms of the department's water supply. That ditch system is not real reliable. In the summertime, we might need flows, and so we actually decided to take water off the Big Pine Canal where we would have a reliable water supply, and then also that we'd sprinkler irrigate the area for more efficient use of the water. We're looking to use about 150 acre-feet of water on the outside a year for the irrigation. It'll take about 2 weeks of running well 375 to supply that amount of water, so the well would have to run for about 2 weeks out of the year to make up for the water that's taken out of the ditch system. The impact of running the well was analyzed by the Inyo County Water Department, so they were the ones who did the impact analysis. The most conservative analysis shows that over many years of operating, when it gets to steady state condition, there may be as much as a 3-inch drop in the water table. The water table under the Big Pine area, for reference, is about 70 to 90 feet deep typically, and it varies year to year based on precipitation and other irrigation activities in the valley. And so this would have a very minor impact on that water table. We expect that generally we would pump for about 2 weeks in a year to make up the water, and most of that water would rebound within several weeks of stopping pumping, and then over time, within 10 years, we'd have a steady state condition slightly lower than what it is now. So that's the background. I'll leave it to Chuck to talk about the CEQA documentation and why we followed the path we did.
Marty, may I just make a couple of observations first?
Yes,
both Commissioner Noonan and I participate in the Los Angeles Inyo Standing Committee, and we have heard testimony related to this agenda item at our last meeting when we were in Independence, California. And at the time, one of the persons testifying sent us a letter. And in this letter, and I'd like to read from it, she said that Agenda Item 18 directly affects the Owens Valley community of Big Pine, including the Big Pine Indian Reservation. Big Pine is located 250 miles from our meeting today, and it's taking place, this meeting, on a Tuesday early afternoon during the work week, and people who are affected by this project are unlikely to be able to attend our meeting to speak on this item. And she further goes to note that the late posting of the documentation ensures that virtually no one, especially busy board members, will have time to actually undertake a fair, unbiased review of the 756 pages in the backup material in the neg deck. And this is evidence that CEQA, of which it is to publicly disclose potential environmental impacts in an open process, cannot be very effective in this situation. And I was hoping that either you or the city attorney could respond to this assertion.
You want to, the document's been around for review for quite a while and in the works for a number of years. I'll let Chuck talk about the actual timing.
Yeah, in order for somebody, I mean, there are several opportunities for people to comment and provide information to the board. And one is when we have some public meetings, When we circulate the environmental document, it goes out for 30-day public review. We receive comments. We respond to those comments. In this particular case, we wanted to actually, I just wanted to correct one thing you said. There were no environmental impacts. This wasn't even a mitigated neg deck. It was a negative declaration. We responded to a lot of comments, but a lot of the comments had massive attachments to them. And then we recirculated the document for another 30 days, provided opportunity for people to comment, and then they have an opportunity here, a third opportunity to talk to you, and we did receive 3 comment letters since the close of the comment public review, or the comment and public review period. 2 of them came in late last night, and it's basically, and so that's another opportunity for them to be heard. The comments are very consistent. They bring up the same things. We've responded to them. The only new issue that was brought up that wasn't brought up earlier was the length of the modeling. The modeling was done by Inyo County, independent, and they did it for 10 years. And the modeling was backed up or supported by field evaluation, where they actually did some pumping, and they believe that the models are conservative. They claim that we should have done a project lifetime modeling. We only went 10 years, but the modeling showed that after 3 years it reached steady state. And so there really weren't any new comments. And that kind of indirectly answers your question. It's not a direct response that they were unable to come here on a Tuesday afternoon.
And I would like to ask the city attorney if this body has jurisdiction to review this matter, even though we are 250 miles away from the location.
You absolutely do. You are the governing body for this project, the municipality that is putting forward this project. So it is your discretionary action to review the document and make the determination. I think it's important to note that the particular commenter has provided several comments to us in the past. So clearly there is evidence that this commenter was very aware of the process and has participated in it extensively. But you indeed have full jurisdiction to make this determination today.
And Marty, help me understand this too, that the Big Pine, Northeast Regreening project is supported by Inyo County.
Yes, it is. The long-term water agreement and the whole settlement that surrounded that was entered into by the City of Los Angeles and Inyo County. There are so this is a joint effort by both groups, and the project was identified 20-plus years ago. It's been always been on the table. It's had some modifications over the years to make it a workable project, but minor modifications. The basic nature of the project, what it's about, how the water is supplied has not changed. Inyo County does support the project, and again, they did find that there were no impacts associated with the pumping. That was the independent analysis of the water department up there. And following this board's action, to use the well 375, it would still take an action of the technical group, which is the technical arm of the Inyo County LA Standing Committee. And so the technical group will still have to take an action to agree to exempt the well. The enhancement mitigation wells are exempted from the pumping criteria. It's noted that well 375 is often, or most always, in off status. Most of that, we believe, is associated with the fact that the vegetation study was done in the late 80s when there had been a lot of precipitation. Well 375 has run very little, if at all, in all this time. The technical group could agree to only use the well when it's in on status, which means it'll probably hardly ever run. They could also just decide that there's no water for the project, or they could exempt the well and let the project go as identified. But if LA puts the pieces in place and moves this project ahead, then we will have met our end of the commitment for the enhancement mitigation project, and then it'll be up to the technical group to make sure that it actually ends up in actually a regreening of the Big Pine area.
If the water table is at 70 to 90 feet, one might assume that there would not necessarily affect the surface vegetation too much.
It would seem that one of the ideas here is to pull water from the ground back up to the surface to irrigate it. And there's a question about what impact it would have on wells in the Big Pine area. A 2 to 3 inch drop in the groundwater table is not real significant, especially because it varies every year based on a number of other factors. One comment that we did here at the Standing Committee meeting 2 weeks ago was that there's not enough water in the reservation lands. And when the reservation was moved by the federal government off of the slopes and the hills onto water and power property as part of a cooperative agreement, there's water set aside, an allowance for the tribal use. That water is generally underutilized, so I don't believe that there's an argument that there's not enough water to go around.
Do the commissioners have any questions related to this item?
Yeah, I have a number of questions. But Ms. Noonan, do you want to?
No, please.
Oh, okay. You just said a minute ago that the water table can vary from year to year?
Yes.
What is the amount of that variance?
I don't know offhand. The water table overall in the valley varies based on our own pumping schedule, the precipitation. If we do spreading, this last year we had a lot of spreading in the valley because we had so much surface water. I don't know the exact range and variation that's typical, though.
Okay. Does the initial study, in my reviewing it, I wasn't sure if I saw this, does the initial study consider if the technical group does not approve turning on well 375 and what that will mean for the project?
I don't think it does. I think if the well isn't able to be turned on, there is no project.
So, in other words, if the 150 acre feet were pulled out of the Big Pine, that would be a loss to LA residents over the course of the year if it couldn't be replaced. Is that the idea here?
That was the idea.
And
instead of
that's
water
too much of a loss for LA to handle, and so as a consequence we wouldn't do the project?
Well, the deal back in 1991 was that these mitigation projects would use groundwater to accomplish their goals. So that was the stipulation that the city and the county entered into in 1991. So that was the plan all along. So this is consistent with that plan.
Does the initial study consider any water conservation efforts at the project site, such as cisterns or anything like that, to capture water to provide additional water sources for the project?
I don't believe in this site there's really whatever sheet flow runoff on the surface because it's a pasture area. The biggest efficiency that was put in place was to go to sprinkler irrigation.
Okay. And does the initial study talk about the impact in the location of well 375 to the projected 3-inch drop, what that would mean for the surrounding area or other wells nearby?
Yeah, actually, the 3-inch is the broader area. I think it's a 12 square mile area. I believe that's the drop projected under the Big Pine area.
But does the initial study talk about the consequences of that drop on those areas?
It evaluated through Inyo County's work that was not significant. That was not a significant drop. There would be no negative impacts.
What about the idea that the objection that the 10-year period of analysis is not sufficient to determine whether there's a significant environmental impact, you don't agree with that?
No, that obviously is concerned of what the long-term fallout is of the project. When Inyo County did their modeling, they resulted, I think they said 6 or 7 years they thought that it would be steady state. We actually did some pump testing. We believe that probably 2 to 3 years would hit a steady state condition. So we don't think that anything outside the 10-year window would show anything different than what's been done.
So by steady state, you're suggesting that whatever impact will occur within that period of time, and then for forever afterwards will remain at that,
it won't
that
get any
impact
worse.
area?
Right. It'll hit a new normal and wouldn't get any worse. Of course, the hard part is because there's other influence on the groundwater level, every year is different. The rain every year is different. You can't go in and put your finger on every single thing. But the pumping tests and the modeling have analyzed the impacts of this project. And within 10 years on the outside, you'd see a notch down 2-3 inches in the groundwater table, that would then be sustained within all the other influences.
What's the expected length of this project?
The idea is the project goes on forever.
Forever, okay. So steady state forever after
Right.
approximately 3 years? Okay.
That's the plan.
All right, and then I guess my last question is that one of the commenters raised an interesting argument, I thought, which was citing some case law, said that it's called the fair argument argument, or fair argument comment. And it says, the fair argument test requires that the agency, quote, prepare an EIR whenever substantial evidence in the record supports a fair argument that a proposed project may have a significant effect on the environment, close quote. And that's citing a case, City of Redlands versus County of San Bernardino, 96 Calap 4398 at page 405. It's an interesting argument because they are, and I see the city attorney is ready to address this. It was an interesting argument because they're saying later on that anytime you have an expert that raises a question about whether there could be a substantial impact, that creates a substantial evidence that triggers the threshold for a full-blown EIR. So I guess I wanted to ask what your comment in response to that would be.
And I will defer to Janice Sidley from the City Attorney's Office.
Actually, it is, the standard is a fair argument that there is substantial evidence. And the fact of the matter here is that we have done the proper analysis in the initial study and in the document that indicates that there are no impacts. There is no fair argument that has been raised for the substantial evidence that this document requires an environmental impact report to be done. We have done the analysis through the initial study. We've done the analysis with INYO, and we have determined that there are no impacts, and therefore a negative declaration is the appropriate document for this project.
When you say no impact, are you saying there's no substantial impact or no impact whatsoever?
I'm saying there are no environmental impacts which raise the level that we would need to mitigate them, and therefore there can be environmental impacts, but there are standards. If you do not cross the threshold, you do not reach the level which requires mitigation, and therefore this is just a negative declaration, not a mitigated declaration, a negative declaration.
But there is evidence in the record that there is factual statements in the record saying that there is a substantial impact, or at least the question of it.
No, there isn't. That is what that lawyer is claiming, but that's not what our document shows.
Okay. The lawyer also is claiming this issue about evidence, substantial evidence by an expert that supports a fair argument that the project would have a significant impact triggers the threshold.
Yes, but there's no evidence that he's provided. He is making an argument not to this particular project, but he is making a broader argument that he has provided to try to demonstrate that we should be triggering an environmental impact report. However, based on the work that we've done, we do not believe that there's an environmental impact report that's been triggered.
Oh, and I understand that's your belief, but so the submissions by, I'm thinking what the expert's name is. Let me see if I can find that.
I think what you're looking at was submitted possibly by Sally Manning.
Yes. So you disregard.
We don't disregard. That's an incorrect statement.
All right.
We have read it. We have studied it. We have documented it. And we have responded to it. But it does not create or suggest impacts that we did not already look at and already deal with.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Thank you.
It's my understanding that this project in and of itself is a mitigation in a way.
Yes, it is. I mean,
so the greatest irony would be if we had to mitigate
the mitigation, right? So.
Ms. Noonan?
During our last standing committee meeting, there were a couple of requests from the public about having an EIR done. Would you speak to the cost associated with an environmental impact report, and also how that would delay us meeting the requirements that the department faces?
The cost for an environmental impact report would probably be in the neighborhood of about $100,000. The delays would add maybe another 8 or 10 months to implementing the project. We actually went beyond what's required under a neg deck, and we took all of the comments and we tried to clarify and expand upon some of the information we were trying to communicate, and we did recirculate the document. This is the second document, and I don't see personally a need. I didn't see a justification for doing an EIR, but anyway, the answer to your question about 100,000 and maybe 6 to 8 months delay.
Commissioner, if I could just add very briefly that how much a document costs and or how much time it will take is not a factor in determining whether or not we will do an environmental impact report. There are certain guidelines within the CEQA statute which determine what is the appropriate document to do, and that's what makes our decision, not the cost nor the time.
Is there further discussion from the commissioners? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 18 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May we go to item 7? Who is presenting, please?
I will present. You had a question, Commissioner, or do you want me to?
Yeah, it seemed that there was one specification and that got pulled, and then we did another specification, and then it just, the whole thing just seemed a little confusing to me. So I was just hoping that you could kind of walk me through it. It seems that the winner had the lowest bid in both categories.
Right. So,
but I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, apples to apples and oranges to oranges were compared.
right. So this is a routine contract that we put out. This is 35,000 volt circuit breakers that we use in various stations, including customer station and distributing stations and so on. So we have a lot of these in stock, right? In our system for us to do the normal routine work. The last time we had the contract, we had it for a distributing station on the west side, and that expired in 2007. And since then, we had enough stock on hand, for us to do the business. This is a spec that we put out for us to put in another contract for 3 years to supply, the inventories with the same type of circuit breakers. So what you're seeing, ABB's bid, there was a short circuit specification that we put out there, which was a smaller number than what they came out with. But ABB came out with both prices for both 31 KA and 40 KA ratings for those breakers. And both of them had a set of numbers, and the difference between the set 1 and set 2 was about $11,000 or so difference. But both of them were compliant with our spec. We could use 40 KA, although it's a little bit bigger than what we normally use, but it'll be more versatile for our system to be having this higher rating, and we could use it in various stations that otherwise we would be specifying, the KAs for each of the changeouts. But although ABB put in a second bid for 10,000 plus, they're still number one bidder, and they're lower than the second bidder, which is about forgot the number, but they're still the lowest bidder.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
That's fine. That clarifies it.
Is there a motion on item number 7?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 7 is approved. Item 23, who's presenting? Glenn or Marty?
Marty will present.
Hi, Marty. Long time no see.
I apologize, you moved faster than I could keep up with. This contract is I'll put it simply, it's for sprinkler parts. We are in the process of trying to find better ways and more efficient ways to comply with our shallow flood requirements at Owens Lake. And shallow flood is defined actually not as standing water, but as a % moisture in the soil. And so one of the methods we're looking at is to use agricultural grade sprinkler components to get the water, to get the soil moisture up without using as much ponded water as we have in the past. We started this looking at the margin areas. When ponds would draw down, they'd be called the shoulder areas that would dry because the ponds aren't flat, and we had some issues with keeping the shoulders adequately damp. We're looking at expanding that and trying to take some of the ponds that are not productive for habitat, or maybe even some that are productive for habitat where grass wants to grow, but get rid of all the ponded water. We do believe that this has a potential to have a substantial reduction in the amount of water used on the lake. The contract before you was competitively bid. It's actually a 3-year contract. It's really 1 year plus 2 optional years. The only minimum required purchase we have is 25% of the first year amount, which is out of the $19 million contract is $1.3 million. It'll take us that amount of sprinkler equipment just to get the sprinklers done in the channel area of Owens Lake, which is an area we have a notice of violation that we are currently trying to resolve because the pulse flows that were identified are not working as we originally had thought they would. So this contract, the minimum will be met just in that. We would continue to use this contract to the extent that it's proving out to be as effective as we think it is. We have on our staff some folks who are native Owens Valley ranchers for many, many decades, and their families that are very well versed in sprinkler equipment and have come up with the idea of how to put this out there and to make this work. On the outside, it looks like it costs us about $9,000 to $12,000 per acre to put this equipment out there. The water savings at current met rates, we're spending about $1,000 an acre in water. So at that rate, probably the worst case is this pays off within 10 years. We think it's probably much faster than that. The guys on the ground tell me we actually will have better savings than that, but this is my conservative estimate. But this project will pay for itself, and if it doesn't show real payoff, we won't spend it.
And any of these areas currently being considered in the master plan as part of habitat, or would this be outside of it?
The habitats, we do have pulse flow of some waters, flood irrigation in the habitat, but a lot of the habitat areas are bubblers where water's put out and you get little streams and rivulets going out, and then you have grasses growing, so you have some water areas that have a lot of brine fly production, and then the grasses. The sprinkling is actually not inconsistent with that because it would promote better grass growth. A lot of the areas in the lake are just standing water, and the water is very poorly used as far as for waterfowl or any other type of habitat. And so we're trying to decrease those areas. Not only do we have more evaporation, but it also takes a lot of water just to fill up the ponds. We spend months outside of the actual irrigation period just getting the ponds full, and then watching them dry down again. And so we're trying to get rid of a lot of that standing water that's not doing anybody or anything any good.
So these changes would comport with what the master plan
Right. This would be a good component for the master plan. It's not inconsistent, and it probably offers opportunities to do better grass growing and meet the moisture requirements in the soil. Plus, we can target where we put this.
I also noticed that there's some really good meaty-weedy targets that's been identified.
We were very fortunate. In this case, we're buying from the manufacturer. The manufacturer identified a good amount of participation besides just transportation. So we do have good participation in this, which is fortunate in this case because it's a material purchase, and we don't always able to get that.
Commissioner Noonan?
I also appreciated that you addressed the entities that had requested information to bid and did not. I know in the past this board has asked for that kind of information, so that makes understanding the selection process so much better, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Moss?
I've got nothing.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 23 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get to work.
Next item, please.
Item number 24.
Item number 24 is a transmission agreement point-to-point starting from the knob point on the DC line and delivery at the midpoint Victorville-Lugo line, which enters the CalISO system to that point where we control. So this is for 100 megawatts point-to-point agreement for 2 years with Morgan Stanley for transmission services.
This is one of those wonderful agenda items where we're looking at revenue coming in.
These are revenues coming in,
right.
and we've declared access capacity and not for our native load, so we can offer that for this kind of a transmission access.
Commissioner Noonan? No question. Mr. Moss?
Do we have the ability under the agreement with Morgan Stanley, if there is an occurrence where we need that 100 megawatts for some purpose, we can get at it?
We can terminate the contract by giving them 1 year notice, and we can also do the regular marketing deals. Even though they have the rights, we can still do the marketing, displacement, and rearrangement with them, and we'll pay for it.
Okay. Is there a motion for item number 24?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 24 is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 25.
Item number 25 is Marty Adams again.
And Commissioners, as we get started on item 25, I also want to point out that item 25 serves as our public hearing for this item under Prop 218, codified as Article 13 of the California Constitution.
Thank you very much. Barbara, are there any speaker cards associated with this item?
I do not have any for this item.
Thank you. Mr. Adams.
Thank you. With me today is Charlotte Rodriguez, who is our Northern District Engineer in Aqueduct. About, I think it was beginning of January, you approved for us to hold a public hearing to propose a new sewer rate for the town of Independence. And we have, this is the conclusion of that effort. About 2 years ago, we moved to raise the sewer rates in Independence. Currently, the residents of Independence pay $3.50 a month for their sewer rate, which is a rate that was set back in the 1970s. The comparable rate for communities similar to them is in the $20 range. The comparable rate in the state of California is $30-something, and the city of LA is, I think, going to be approaching $60 or $70. So the problem that we have here is that the department has been contributing toward the cost of the sewer system, and that the rates have not collected enough money to actually pay for the operation. So what we have before you is a multi-year rate increase where we slowly get up to $21 a month, which we think is an adequate amount of money to run the system. We've opted to do it over a number of years so that there was not the rate impact on the town of Independence, which is a very small town. And we think that this will make the department whole and allow us to operate in the future. When we brought this before, we actually had a Prop 218 challenge that was successful, and so the rate increase did not go through. Charlotte has coordinated a number of community meetings over the last couple of years to work through this issue. One of the big issues with the community of Independence is that they did not want us to privatize the sewer system. They felt that they were comfortable with the department's ownership and operating of that, and I think that they looked at the reality that the system needed to pay for itself. We did have a meeting last 29th?
Wednesday, yeah.
Last Wednesday up there in Independence. I think we had about 30 attendees. About a third of the folks were not happy with the increase. About a third didn't say anything. About a third actually supported the increase and wanted us to hang on to ownership of the system. We, at this point, whereas last time we had 201 official challenges, which was more than 50% required, we have, I think, 2 official challenges to the sewer increase at this time. And so unless there's any other public input challenging the sewer rate increase, it would be up to the board to approve the rate increase at this point.
Are there questions from the Commission?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I just want to make sure that we had the number of the protests that were filed.
There were 2 written protests, and one was submitted electronically. I don't know if we've received it in writing yet.
We actually, on our as many agencies do, on our notice, we provide that email protests are not viable, but even with that additional 3rd protest, that doesn't get you to the majority.
All right. So, Joe, I just want to hammer this point home, that this agenda item counts as a public hearing related to the rate increase.
Correct, and it was noticed as such to all the people impacted by that sewer rate increase.
And there was, just to be very clear, there was a public meeting on February 29th in Owens Valley.
Right.
Was it in Independence?
Yes.
And that was, we've had, what, 3 or 4 meetings in Independence since?
We've had 4 public meetings officially with the public, and then we've had some side meetings with the community leaders that were protesting the rate increase and the Independence Civic Club. So we've tried quite a bit to work with the community.
And what was the level of, please restate the level of participation at the meeting on the 29th.
There was actually 20 people that attended our meeting on Wednesday from the public.
All right, thank you.
And there is a written paraphrase of that meeting that is part of this package as well.
Yes, I've seen that. Is there a motion?
So moved, and I appreciate the commentary you gave about this being a competitive rate and comparing it to other areas similar to that particular area, as well as Angelino ratepayers. So thank you.
Second.
Hearing no objection, item 25 passes. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Next agenda item, please.
We're on to item number 26.
This agenda item is some paperwork, actually, that we have to fill out for the Department of Public Health in our requests for low-cost and no-cost loans through the State Revolving Fund. They require us to identify specific projects that may be eligible for funding so that we can have the board authorize officers of the department to execute those agreements. So this is an opportunity for us to engage additional projects and have additional low-cost loans for those projects. We've been very successful in the past several years of getting both grants and loans, and most of our major projects we're really digging into whatever money is available, and this is just a continuation of that.
Other comments?
In light of that, I just wanted to highlight that we received under the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act $35 million.
Yes.
And this is with 100% forgiveness of principal?
Yes.
So that's just free money?
That was free money for us.
Cool.
The rest of these are several of them are no-cost loans. They're moving toward low-cost loans, about 2%.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Noonan?
Well, I applaud your efforts.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objection, item 26 passes. Next item, please.
Item number 27.
So we have our energy efficiency, non-residential lead, Lucia, and also Ann Century, to answer any questions, and just to introduce this item briefly. This is an item to allow us to increase the loan limit from $40 to $50 million. There's a program that we have with the Bureau of Street Lighting for LED switch-outs, and they have been successful in their program, and they're asking to accelerate their program by a year, which means they want to increase the amount of borrowing they do from the department, and this is a necessary change. So I'll let Lucia and Ann explain it further.
Before Lucia starts, thank you for appearing. Do the commissioners have any questions related to this item?
I do.
You do? All right. Please continue.
Okay. Good afternoon. Lucia Olivalet, Energy Efficiency. In fiscal year 2009-10, LADWP entered into an MOU with the Bureau of Street Lighting to loan $47 million for the purpose of replacing 140,000 inefficient street lights with energy-efficient light-emitting diode LED street lights. The 5-year loan was scheduled to pay an annual amount through fiscal year 2013-14. In addition to the loan, BSL would receive rebates for the project, which would conclude fiscal year 2014-15. These funds would facilitate the cost of the purchase and installation of the LED fixtures throughout the city. BSL wishes to accelerate the project and complete it 1 year in advance. In order to meet the project deadline, BSL has requested that LADWP restructure the loan and provide additional funding up front to cover the accelerated costs. Currently, LADWP makes the loans available through a $40 million revolving trust fund. Loans are available to all commercial customers implementing various energy efficiency projects, solar projects, water conservation projects, as well as utility infrastructure loans. As the loans are repaid, funding is available for new loans. So in order to accommodate BSL's request to accelerate that LED installation by 1 year, LADWP is requesting an increase in the fund maximum from $40 million to $50 million. This resolution request will be is presented to you today, essentially asking that we are able to increase the trust fund or the revolving fund, so that we may accommodate BSL in its request.
And right now, they have a $23.6 million loan. They've had no defaults. This year, they're going to be requesting an additional $6.8 million, and next year, $13.5 million. So given that, plus the utility infrastructure loans, we would exceed the $40 million cap, and that's why we're asking for the increase.
Thank you. Mr. Moss?
Other than the loan or loans to Bureau of Public Works, are there any other city agencies that have any loans with us under the program?
Not active. In the past, we've had loans with General Services, Department of Transportation, LA Convention Center, and General Services Department. Those ones are paid off, but they can also apply for new ones.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I would just, Mr. Commissioner, like to point on that indeed they have been paid off, which we've had a very good record under this program of being able to provide funds to our fellow portions of the city. They've used those funds, they've applied them, and they've repaid the loans in full, and it's been a very good program for us.
And can we even say that some of the savings that they've incurred by moving to this new technology has provided them the revenue to be able to repay the loan?
Well, it certainly has been a part of that, and overall, in as much as whenever we've looked at those measures and the minor amount of costs associated with providing those has been a net savings to all of the DWP customers, because they're making a savings in energy that we otherwise would have had to either produce or purchase.
So that most tired phrase of all, it's a win-win, actually applies in this case?
It does indeed.
Well, if it's such a great program, shouldn't we be expanding it beyond the $50 million?
Well,
they have to be able to implement it.
Yeah, the issue is that there is some implementation associated with that, and there have been some budgetary issues associated with that, and they also need to undertake some evaluations. We are actually trying to work with some of our cities, and in fact have worked with some of our other city departments on evaluating what are the opportunities at them, and we'll continue to do so as we go forward. It is a part of our conservation program, energy efficiency program.
Hypothetically, if we could find good borrowers, would we have the resources to be able to fund those loans?
Yes, I believe we would.
Okay.
Thank you.
We would need to bring the funding levels back for this board to consider. But yes.
Ms. Nunez?
No, I just wanted to add, having served on the board of the convention center, I recall when the department made the loan, and it definitely lent to the convention center getting LEED certification, and I know that it was a very proud day for our city to be held as an example to other convention centers domestically. So I'm a big supporter of this program.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 27 is approved. Thank you very much for your time. Next agenda item, please.
Item number 28, and I do have a speaker card on this one.
And who is making the presentation, please?
I'll be introducing it, and we have Mario Ignacio available to answer any questions.
Phil, is this your first time?
It's one of my first items, I think, yeah.
No, your first presentation before the board, formally?
I believe it may be.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Thank you. So item 28 is requesting approval of an underwriting pool for investment banking services. The department issued an RFP about 6 months ago at the end of August 2011. We had good publication of this. There were 44 firms that were notified of the RFP, as well as it was published on the city's virtual business network, where 391 users received notification. We had good interest in the firms that were contacted. We had a total of 39 firms respond to our RFP, and we had a very thorough and objective process to evaluate their responses. We had a total of, again, 39 firms. 25 were invited in for oral interviews. We went through and made our selection. We had a panel consisting of 2 department staff as well as an outside financial advisor. We have a recommendation to set up a senior manager pool with 9 firms and another pool of 9 co-managers. We have a good, diverse group of firms that are going to help us. We have a total of those 18 firms, 33 are minority or women-owned firms, 33%. Want to indicate that there are no costs that we're committing ourselves to with the adoption of this resolution. The firms would only be paid if we do bond transactions. I can say that over the next 5 years, we're going to be very busy. We have an extensive capital spending program that's going to require pretty extensive use of borrowing. In the power system, we're looking at bond issuances of roughly $1 billion a year, and about half that in the water system. So with this pool of 18 firms, we do expect to keep them very busy. And I can have Mario answer any additional questions about the process that we used.
Ms. Noonan?
No, I really appreciated your supporting data, and I think that you undertook a very sound process in selecting these firms.
Mr. Moss?
No questions.
Is there a motion?
I do have a public speaker card.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I apologize. Can we hear the speaker, please?
Dr. Tom Williams.
Sorry, Dr. Williams. Jumped the gun.
I get used to it. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, also DWP liaison. Question on this one. How many LA City organizations are involved in it? How many LA City organizations did not make the cut? How can we make it more for LA City? That's number one. Number two, will it be enough? We don't know. Part of this includes a comprehensive finance plan for water and power. Outsiders are going to do it. Where is the internal comprehensive financial plans? Are they available? Will these financial plans for the next, 5 years of water projects going to be available, and when? Will the public be able to review, comment, maybe advise on these? So 2 elements. One, LA City participation, and then the public and the ratepayers participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. May I ask a question based on Dr. Williams' question? Is how many city investment banking firms were approached, and if any?
The RP was sent out to 44 firms, and 7 of them actually requested separately, so a total of 51.
And how many within the city of Los Angeles?
Most of the firms have local offices in the city, but I don't have the complete count at this point.
Ms. Noonan?
However, this has been a common theme that has been discussed among our board, and I know that the department is trying to implement into our RFP process kind of like a favored nations, where local businesses will be given additional points, which is something that I personally support.
Any additional comments from the board?
None for me.
Is there a motion associated with this item?
So moved.
Second.
There's a second. There's a motion and a second, and hearing no objections, item 28 is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 29, and I do have 2 speaker cards on this one.
Thank you. And who is presenting on item number 29, please?
I'll again be making some comments on item 29. So we have a water rate structure that includes base rates and a number of pass-through charges. Each year we calculate those pass-through charges by updating a schedule of costs that will go into those particular rates. We're asking you today to approve the schedule of costs for 3 of the 5 pass-through rates that we have. Overall, if we look at how these pass-through rates are changing from this quarter to the first quarter of the next fiscal year, the changes overall are quite minimal. They're going up by about 6 cents, from $2.17 to about $2.23. So relatively minor change. Most of the change is due to anticipated increases in the purchased water expense. But the 3 charges that do require your approval of the inclusion of the particular costs that are listed are the water procurement factor. An element of that is the demand side management and reclaimed water charge. The second charge is water quality adjustment, and the third charge is the water security adjustment. If we just look at how those three charges are changing, the increase is very minimal. It's just about a penny from this quarter to the next, from $1.17 to $1.17.9. So again, altogether, the pass-through charges won't be changed very much for the fourth quarter of this fiscal year to the first quarter of next year.
Commissioner Newton?
Questions?
Mr. Moss?
Yeah, I have a question or two. Number one, timing of this adjustment factor. This is to take place in starting July 1st, correct?
That is correct.
So do we have to approve this today?
We're asking to approve this today so we can take advantage of putting the bill impact notifications into the regular billing cycle, so that they need 50 days notice, and it takes us about 2 months to send a message to all of our residential customers. So it's recommended you approve this today. Otherwise, we do have separate mailing options. It's just a little more costly.
Okay. And I guess going to attachment 7, if we might, maybe you could step us through this.
Yes, attachment 7 is the best overview of these 5 pass-through charges that I made reference to. So as I had indicated, altogether the charges are increasing about 6 cents from the current quarter to the first quarter of fiscal year 2012-2013. So you see the change from about 216 up to 223. The particular elements that require formal board action are, again, the demand-side management and reclaimed water element of the water procurement adjustment factor. So that's like the second row on this. The next one that requires formal board action is the water quality improvement adjustment factor. So that's increasing from, by the end of this quarter, it'll be about 67.1 cents. It'll go up to 74 cents. And the third item that requires action is the water security adjustment factor. And that one's going down by about 6 cents. So if we just look at those three, the change is about 6 cents. The change is about 1 penny. And if we look at all of the factors together, some of which don't require board action for changes, the total change is about 6 cents.
So of the amounts that we're approving today, they almost net each other out.
That's correct. It's
okay. And then the lion's share of the increases in the purchased water component, which is an estimate as to the amount of purchased water that we'll need to make in that quarter.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful to clarify just what is the basis of our purchased water increases, both in terms of volume and the source of that water. Just would be helpful for the commissioner.
Sure. As you know, we're looking at a drier year, and the projections are that we will be purchasing more water from the Metropolitan Water District. So unfortunately, we didn't have the same snowpack that we had last year. This causes an increased purchase. So that's just a projection, and then they are normalized after the fact. So it always self-adjusts after the fact. So we never get too far ahead or too far behind.
So just to kind of put a fine spin on it, for the ratepayers, the projection is that we're going to need to buy more water, and that means that we need to increase the factors to account for that projected water increase.
It happens automatically.
Right. No, I know it happens automatically. Right. It's not discretionary, but it's still a projection. And that's because of weather, essentially.
Because of weather, maybe.
Okay. The matters that are within our discretion, that we do have control over, they almost net each other out. They go up by 1 penny.
That is correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make that real fine point there. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 2 speakers on this item.
Yes, the first speaker is Dr. Tom Williams.
Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council. I used to do finance too. Interesting element. I always go back to strategic plan, of course. And water security. If we have money left in the budget items, can we go after better improvements of our replacement of water pipe? Seems like 300 years is a little bit long. That's one element. But on this same subject, last year, I think it was, we had a problem. The conservation elements were very spectacularly successful. And he came up, whoops, had too successful. Are we going on it again? When you say snowpack, yeah, rainfall, snowpack, serious issues. Are we going to have the same thing come July? And right now, I think there's enough snowpack that you can forecast that there's going to be some problems. Everyone that has any sort of garden, anyone that has any sort of planting right now knows, hey, the soil is very dry. And we're already starting to look at gray water because the rainwater was totally inadequate for most of the gardening. So we're already looking at it. We're already starting to cut back on hedges and things like that in order to conserve our water. But are you going to get locked into the same thing as within the last 2 years, where you project a 15% reduction in flow and you get 22? I don't know. Maybe there should be some contingency on that. There's also a matter that if you're going to have your budget for the next fiscal year come due in March, the end of March, wouldn't this be an element of that? I would have thought that, this is kind of premature. Maybe particular items have to be advanced before the budget is advanced. I don't know, because we don't see any sort of content for what is the budget, even broad terms. But right now, you got a drought coming, snow and rain, all deficient. I hope this particular element will not be deficient. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Linda Romney.
As we remember, last year we had an abundance of water and snow. 110% is what they told us as far as the overflow in the reservoirs. Nevertheless, you'll note that the water increases were persistent and constant. So that rationale really doesn't hold any logic whatsoever. We just had another water increase March 1st. Is it going to be that we never receive a bill, but what we have an increase in the bill? And when you're talking about the water quality, and I believe that refers to what Mr. Nichols had spoke about previously, and that means that we have that 30% rate increase coming for water, the largest rate increase in recorded history for the DWP. We do not need water quality, drinking water quality, to wash our clothes, to irrigate our lawn, to wash our dishes, and to take our showers. You would be better off for that statistic, which is 0.8%, to personally pay for Arrowhead distilled water hand-delivered to individuals rather than passing this on. Now, I know it's not going to be in a lump 30% because you have to eat your elephant little by little, and there would be this whole room would be loaded with people talking against this rate increase. We cannot have another rate increase for the base because we know how low you set that water base. Then you have it in increments. You're setting us down so low as far as the amount we can use. For my property alone, which is a half an acre, I get to use only 15 during the summer months, which means I'm automatically going into the next tiers. So what you're talking about here in combination with what you had before, you need to do some conservation and keep this amount down because the ratepayers cannot continually be hit with these rate increases that you have coming at us. Thank you.
Are there any additional speakers?
That was the last card for this item.
I would like to make a clarifying comment in light of that previous comment. I think it's important for us as you look at these issues to recognize that indeed purchase water prices go up, purchase water costs go down. And prior to this recent occurrence of this circumstance, in fact, for each of 4 succeeding quarters, total water rates did indeed go down. And the adjustment that we just made, that this board made in December and was confirmed in February by the City Council, netted at a level that is approximately 6% below what the rates were even after the increase last year. And that's because of the fact that indeed, as our costs go down, we do pass those through to our customers, and they did enjoy quarter after quarter of reduced costs by virtue of the fact that we had a much better water year. I wish we had another water year like that this year, and hopefully we'll have them again in the subsequent years.
Commissioners have any additional comments related to the item?
I do not.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 29 is approved. Now we come to the part of our agenda where we're talking about our reports, and I understand that there is a speaker associated with that, Barbara?
Yeah, the next item is item 30, filed items 30A and B, and I do have a card for a speaker on 30A.
And who is that speaker?
Dr. Tom Williams.
Dr. Williams, do you choose to speak to the board on item 30A?
He just left.
All right.
That's the only card I have for 30A or B.
Do the commissioners have any comments related to the filed monthly reports?
I do have a comment related to the collection part of the reports, and it seems that month after month we get a little blurb in the report saying that there are some collection problems due to bill compatibility, and I'm wondering if maybe the word processor is just printing that out every month, because it doesn't seem like there's been any progress made on making the bills compatible to our customers.
Well, generally, yes. It's not a word processor spitting it out in error, unfortunately. I would like to tell you that it is, and you'll likely continue to see that comment until we get through with our updates to our customer information system, which is a key portion of the problems that we're having with regard to that. We are actually chipping away at some of those problems where we can do it literally by hand. And we do have attention on some of those, both billing issues and collection issues associated with them. But irrespective, until sometime in calendar year 2013, when we're presently expecting to go live April of 2013, if we're on schedule, and hopefully we will be. But until we get that fixed, it really does hamper our abilities to get the level of collections up where they should be. And that is one of the things that helps offset. We're looking at a very major expenditure for a customer information system, as any utility does when they do an upgrade. One of the things that helps offset that cost is the fact that you do generally get more accurate bills out to your customers, better information with respect to paying, and better ability to respond back and get those collections back to where they should be.
Thank you.
Additional questions related to item 30? Next agenda item, please.
Okay, item number 31, management reports. I do have a card for 31-2. 31-1 is just to file the RPS project update report.
And who was that speaker,
The
please?
speaker for 31-2 was Dr. Tom Williams, but I believe he has left, unless you're out there in the lobby, Mr. Williams.
We will deem unless the commissioners have comments related to this.
Well,
and Mr. Moss does.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I'm very chatty today. In the graph that's presented on item 31-1, it looks like our January 2012 RPS has fallen down to 13.6%.
For that month, that's correct. I think, keep in mind that the amount of our renewable energy varies over the course of the year as a function of our total energy requirements, for starters, and our amounts of hydroelectric production, which, by the way, is down in part due to precipitation that we've seen. Depends upon how the wind is blowing, and et cetera. So it does vary by month. Our requirements are measured on an annual basis as we go through. But a point to be made from this is the fact that indeed we are on a bit of a declining schedule or performance than we were before, in part because we have not moved forward as of yet with some of our new renewable energy contracts that will backfill for some of the shorter-term contracts that we've had that have expired, and we've been holding back on those until we go through our new rate process later this summer, and that has a short-term effect that contributes to that.
Turning to the graph again, it looks like there is a fluctuation over the course of the year, almost on a seasonal kind of basis.
Yes.
Do you anticipate that our percentage will be increasing again starting in this month and carrying forward through the spring into summer?
Aaron?
Do you know which way the wind is blowing?
It kind of follows the last year's profile, as far as the bars go. But as Mr. Nichols mentioned, those percentages would be shorter because we're not filling in short-term bases, to make up the 20% mark. So as we get hydro and wind and our normal projects coming in, it's going to be short of the 20% mark, but it will follow that profile that you see there.
Okay, and at what point do we start to become very concerned about this trend?
Well, we're concerned about the trend now, but we believe that we have a plan going forward where a very small portion of the rate adjustments, which we'll be discussing with you later this spring, are to indeed address having the sufficient funding to go and commit to incremental contracts, and we are comfortable that we will be able to reverse this trend and meet our requirements going forward as long as we get those adjustments.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Noonan, any questions?
No, none.
The strategic real estate plan, is there something in that you would like to ask about, or?
No, at this time.
So we'll hold that for later review. I would like to ask, given the sort of contentiousness about having meetings in Los Angeles when there are items that concern Owens Valley, I would like to ask the city attorney to explore the possibility of there being some kind of a broadband communication where we could have some form of a live television signal between Owens Valley and Los Angeles when we discuss items that are on the open agenda with them. And I'm putting it before you, Joe, because I don't know the legality of that. I don't know whether that would in some way constitute some sort of conferred rights on the people that are participating or not. But it strikes me that if we have the technology, we should at least explore the possibility of opening it up to people in Owens to weigh in it before this body.
We'll certainly look into that possibility and let you know.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Are there any additional items with the commissioners? And then, great timing. I would turn to the city attorney as we move into closed session.
So we will now recess and go into closed session, and in accordance with the Brown Act, we'll report any reportable action taken there.
Thank you very much, and I would like to take a 10-minute break, and when we will reconvene in the conference room, if possible.
Oh, you want conference room? Okay.
Thanks.
So if you have a closed session item, just wait here. We'll call you back when you're